Have you ever noticed how some invitations feel like relief the moment you turn them down? Not because you're anxious, not because you dislike the people, but because staying home alone feels right, like your nervous system exhales the second you say no. Most people assume this means something's wrong, that you're isolating, that you're missing out on connection. But what if the opposite is true? What if the part of you that craves solitude isn't running away from people, but running towards something most of us have forgotten how to access? Here's what usually happens. Someone invites you out. Your first thought isn't excitement, it's calculation. How long will this take? How much energy will I need? Can I leave early without it being weird? And then the moment you cancel, there's this quiet sense of relief. Not guilt, not loneliness, just space. You might not realize this at first, but that feeling, it's not avoidance, it's preference. And your brain has been trying to tell you something important about how you're wired. See, for a long time, psychology didn't have language for people like you. If you preferred being alone, you were labeled introverted, antisocial, avoidant, like enjoying your own company was a warning sign instead of a personality trait. But then, researchers started asking a different question. What if some people just recharge differently? Not because they're scared of connection, not because they're damaged, because solitude actually restores them in ways social interaction doesn't. They called it unsociability, the calm, confident preference for your own company. And when they studied these people, they weren't struggling, they were thriving. Here's what's actually happening in your brain when you choose to be alone. Your dopamine system works differently. Most people get a surge of dopamine from social interaction, the laughter, the energy exchange, the buzz of being around others. But your system is more sensitive. It reaches optimal stimulation faster. Think of it like spice tolerance. Some people need the whole jalapeno to feel anything. One flake of red pepper and you're good for the day. But here's where it gets even more interesting. When you're alone, your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for deep thinking and complex problem solving, lights up. You're not just sitting there doing nothing. Your mind is processing, creating, making connections it can't make in the noise of social interaction. This isn't withdrawal, it's active restoration. Now, before you decide this is definitely you on, I know some of you are already thinking, this explains everything. Let's pause for a moment. There's a crucial distinction here. It's one only you can answer honestly. Do you choose solitude, or are you hiding in it? Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Some people aren't embracing alone time. They're using it as armor. It's protection against rejection, vulnerability, or the risk of being truly seen. And that's where we need to check in with ourselves. The difference comes down to this. Healthy solitude comes from abundance, not scarcity. You enjoy being alone because you've had meaningful connections, because you know you can connect when you choose to. You're not running from people, you're returning to yourself. So the question isn't just do you like being alone, it's why. If your answer involves words like recharge, create, think, process, you're probably in that healthy zone. You're someone who genuinely thrives in solitude because that's where your mind does its best work. But if your answer involves words like safer, easier, less painful, that might be something else. Not wrong, not broken, just different, and maybe worth exploring with someone you trust. Because here's what people who genuinely thrive in solitude have figured out. Being alone isn't the same as being incomplete. Think about how we talk about relationships. My other half, you complete me. We've built this narrative that humans are broken puzzle pieces desperately, searching for the missing part. But people who embrace solitude, they've looked at that story and said, actually, I'm already whole. And this isn't arrogance. It's self-awareness. Research shows that people who genuinely enjoy being alone often have stronger social connections than those who stand solitude, because they're not clinging. They're not trying to get all their needs met by one person. They're choosing connection from a place of fullness, not emptiness. They understand something crucial. The quality of your alone time directly impacts the quality of your social time. When you're recharged and centered, you show up better in relationships. You're not depleted, you're not resentful. You're bringing your whole self because you've spent time at your own table first. In Japan, there's a word for this. Hitori. Alone time. It's not just accepted, it's celebrated. There are restaurants with solo booths, movie theaters with single seats designed for one. Entire cultural practices built around the idea that sometimes You just need to exist with yourself. Meanwhile, in the West, we're still asking people, why are you eating alone? Like it's a confession at a support group. We've made solitude into something that needs explaining, when really it's one of the most natural human needs there is. So what does this mean for you? If you're someone who genuinely loves being alone, here's your permission slip. You're not weird, you're not broken. Your brain is wired to find restoration in solitude, and in an age of constant connectivity, where everyone's expected to respond immediately and always be available, the ability to genuinely enjoy your own company might be the most countercultural thing you can do. But make sure you're not confusing preference with protection. Check in with yourself honestly. Can you connect when you want to? Do you have people you trust? Are you running to solitude or from connection? Because the healthiest relationship with being alone is one where it's a choice, not a defense. The next time someone asks why you canceled plans or why you'd rather stay home with a book than go to that party, you don't need to justify it. You can tell them about dopamine sensitivity, about how your brain recharges, about the entire body of research showing that solitude isn't social failure, it's often social intelligence. Or you can just smile and say, because I like myself. That usually ends the conversation pretty quickly. And maybe that's the whole point. Because the thing you've been second-guessing, the part of you that craves space, that needs quiet, that feels most like yourself when no one else is around, that's not something you need to fix. That's your mind showing you what it needs to do its best work. And maybe the version of you that shows up after time alone? That's not the isolated version. It's the one who's been paying attention.